So if I think there's one thing that we can all relate to at this point in time in the year 2023 is the COVID era and just how crazy of a time period that was. And with that being said, you've had a couple movies that have tried to make stuff along the way pertaining to it. The latest one that I just watched was 2023's Sick. Now, this one takes place right when the COVID era starts to pick up. It's in 2020. Really, the first couple months in America, which, if you remember, was a crazy, crazy time period. And it focuses, in the very first scene, there's this guy shopping, and it's showing all of the ways that it was. You know, you had empty racks. They did the little whole, like, the toilet paper thing where people were running out of toilet paper. They did the sanitizer. They did the standing 6 feet. Everyone keeping their distance. All of that kind of like just to bring you kind of back into that time period. So this guy, Tyler, is shopping at a store. He gets a text message from somebody he don't know that is playing games with him, saying, taking a picture of him while he's shopping. So what ends up happening is Tyler can't find the person. He ends up going home into his one-bedroom apartment, and he notices something's a little off as he is putting away all of his stuff. The killer is actually in the house, and they go through a back-and-forth fight for a few minutes, and ultimately Tyler ends up getting taken out. It wasn't that big of a kill, but it was enough to start the movie out. From there, you move on to the two main people that the movie's really going to focus on. Parker and Miri. They're two best friends, and they're trying to go to one of their family's cabins to kind of get away and be safe from COVID at that point in time, because if you remember, isolation was key back then. So they were trying to isolate into these cabins and get away. So they get into the cabin. Parker's ex ends up showing up within the day, and that really gets Miri, the best friend, upset because Miri is taking it a lot more serious than Parker is as far as trying to be safe. So as she says, even at one point in the movie, she says, "Just keep 6 feet away from me and we'll be fine." So such a weird time period. So anyway, they're all just doing their own thing. Parker's ex is there to try and get back with her because they broke up. He showed her a video of her at a party. Now, what ends up happening is she pretty much says that they're not in a relationship, that they were in an open relationship. So she was allowed to do that. So he gets nowhere with her, and he says, "All right, I'm going to sleep tonight here, and then I'll leave tomorrow morning. I just need to get some sleep." So this is where it starts picking up. So the middle of the night, this intruder comes in and starts attacking the three people there. So the two girls, they end up getting out, but the attacker ends up killing the ex. The ex name's DJ. So the person ends up killing DJ, and from there, it's a cat and mouse between them and then the two girls. Something happens with the best friend Miri that ends up knocking her out unconscious. So now you got Parker running from this person. She ends up going outside. The killer is still in the house. Miri ends up blindsiding this person and killing them with a just like a big rock, something like that, and just starts bulging them. Well, the plot twist is there was more than one. There was actually another killer with that person. So now there is two that have to be dealt with. From there, Parker goes through a lake where the killer jumps in the lake, tries to attack her. Parker gets away, goes into an old neighbor's house from back when she was a kid. Tries to break in because the person wasn't answering the door because, one, it's late, and two, because of COVID, a lot of people aren't really messing around with talking to new people. So she gets into the house. The neighbor at that point tells him to get out, and then she convinces him to let him stay for the minute. But the killer ends up going in and killing the neighbor now, which sucks on him because he was just trying to get some sleep. From there, they end up on a road. And because she ends up finding a way to knock him out. So they're on a road, and a car shows up. A car pulls up like it's driving. So she flags this car down and tries to get the attention so she can leave. So it's a girl, and this is where the COVID stuff really, really comes off in a weird way. She pulls over, but the doors are locked. And she says, "Where's your mask? Where's your mask?" And the girl's like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I don't got a mask. I'm being killed by this person's trying to kill me." So the girl pulls out another mask to give Parker. So Parker puts on the mask, immediately starts feeling dizzy. Well, the girl is in on it. She was part of the killers. So they have her knocked out now, and they bring her back to the cabin, where you have the dead body, you have the other masked man, and you have the girl in there now. And the plot twist comes at a point where you almost feel bad for the people doing the killing, because when they wake up, the same video that the ex showed Parker, now the older lady shows Parker. Well, it turns out that that's one of the people at the party Parker was making out with, and Parker ended up having COVID for that party. So she ended up getting that person sick, and that person ended up dying, which would be the older lady's son, the older lady Pamela. That would be her son. So now the parents wanted to get revenge on everyone at the party that was to account for their son's death. So the first person that ended up dying, before we knew there wasn't more people, that was actually the other brother of the family. So now the mom has to deal with both of her sons being dead on top of that. So you have the first one that died was the son. And then the other masked man was actually the dad, Jason, and he was more the brute force of it, more get the job done, just try to figure it out, get the job done. So you almost feel bad in a way because of everything that's going on. Like, it's not, they're grieving, trying to get revenge. Now, at one point after that, there's a scuffle. Jason, the dad, ends up going outside and getting pushed, and there was some deer antlers because this is in the middle of the woods. He ends up getting pushed down and gets impaled by these deer antlers. It was actually a really good kill. That's one of the reasons that I'm going to kind of give it the rating that I give it later on, is because the couple kill scenes that you do see were really decent. So he gets impaled with the deer antlers, and then the mom ends up having a fight back and forth with now Parker and Miri, who are now back awake, and she ends up getting set on fire. And that was a really not bizarre, but intense scene, because as the sun's coming up, she's setting on fire. You see the cops coming in because they got called earlier in the night, and of course the cops take forever. So they finally showed up, and then that's the movie for the most part. The two friends get away. Overall, I thought the movie was okay. I gave it a 3 out of 5, and the reason I probably gave it that high was because, like I said, the kill scenes were actually decent. I liked the kill scenes. I liked how there was a little bit of the COVID stuff put into it. You don't really see a lot of that nowadays. So to kind of have to go back into a PTSD kind of state, because that was one of the worst times of my life at 31 years old now. It pretty much took away my later 20s because everything was in isolation. So I would recommend watching it at least once. It's an hour and 23 minutes. It's not bad in time. But like I said, if you want some flashbacks from a couple years ago, I definitely do recommend checking it out. And you, like I said, you get a couple of the things like 6 feet, where's your mask, the sanitizer. It's a bizarre flashback. So that's my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, peace.